3 days after Elise Mertens dismantled her 6-2, 6-1 in the Madrid second round, Alex Eala posted a single Instagram story from Mallorca, a photo of a red clay court, freshly watered. With the Rafa Nadal Academy logo visible in the corner, captioned simply, "RNA, the best." No explanation. No motivational quotes. Just a 20-year-old going back to the lab after the worst scoreline of her season, with 5 days until Rome. That image tells a bigger story than most people realize. Because what happens inside those semi-indoor clay courts in Manacor between tournaments isn't the glamorous montage you might imagine. It's repetitive. It's uncomfortable. And right now, for Eala, it's the difference between her clay court season being remembered as a stumble or as an education. Let me walk you through what we actually know about these training blocks, why she pulled out of the Catalonia Open to get more time on these specific courts, and what the tactical adjustments look like when you watch closely. Because the Italian Open starts May 5th. And her last visit to the Foro Italico ended 6-0, 6-1 against Marta Kostyuk. There's a ghost she needs to exorcise in Rome, and she's trying to do it here, on the quiet eastern coast of Mallorca, far from cameras and comment sections. First, context. Eala's 2026 has been a season of violent swings. In February, she reached the quarterfinals in Dubai, where Coco Gauff needed only 52 minutes to beat her 6-love, 6-2, a match in which Eala won exactly 2 games but created 0 break points. Then she went to Indian Wells and made the 4th round. Then Miami, same thing, 4th round, before Karolina Muchova stopped her. Her ranking hit a career-high 29 in mid-March. From the outside, everything looked like pure ascent. Then clay happened. In Linz, her opening match against Julia Grabher looked encouraging. She served 60% first serves in, won 68% of first serve points, saved 9 of 10 break points. All numbers that would make her coaching team exhale. She beat Grabher 6-4, 6-3 in just over an hour and 40 minutes, and everything seemed fine. Then came Ostapenko in the second round. Eala led 5-1 in the second set. She needed 1 game to force a decider. Ostapenko, the kind of opponent who can make the impossible feel routine, reeled off 6 consecutive games. The match slipped away 6-4, 7-5. That specific collapse, holding 5-1 and losing 6 games straight, is the kind of scar that doesn't heal in a day. Stuttgart was worse in a different way. Leylah Fernandez attacked her forehand from the first point, exposing lateral movement patterns that work on hard courts, but become a half-step too slow on clay. 6-1, 6-4. Done in under an hour. Madrid offered a glimpse of light. She beat Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova 6-3, 6-3 in the first round, finding her timing on the serve and controlling the baseline exchanges with her left-handed angles. Then Mertens happened. The Belgian read every second serve like she had the playbook. 6-2, 6-1. 2 matches in Madrid producing a total of 9 games won and 12 lost. The clay court record for the season, 2 wins, 3 losses. Not catastrophic. But not the foundation you want before walking into a WTA 1000 in Rome with 96 players and memories of getting bageled there 12 months ago. So what does she actually do at the Rafa Nadal Academy during these gaps between tournaments? Let me break this down, because the details matter more than the broad strokes. The academy sits in Manacor, a town of 40,000 people in eastern Mallorca. It has 45 tennis courts, 22 clay, 23 hard. 7 of those clay courts are semi-indoor, meaning they have a roof structure but open sides, creating a controlled environment where wind is minimized but natural light still comes through. This matters because Rome's Foro Italico is outdoor clay, exposed to variable conditions, and you want to train in a setting that simulates some of that unpredictability without all of it. The semi-indoor courts give coaches the ability to isolate specific technical variables without the wind making every session chaotic. Joan Bosch, her primary coach, is the man orchestrating these training blocks. Bosch is not some obscure academy staffer. He coached Carlos Moya, the former world number 1, the 1998 French Open champion, during Spain's 2004 Davis Cup victory. He understands clay court tennis at a molecular level. The footwork patterns, the geometrical patience, the way you have to construct a point differently when the ball sits up instead of skidding through. Tony Nadal first pointed Eala out to Bosch, recognizing something in her game intelligence. She arrived at the academy at 13, won over the coaching staff with how coachable she was, graduated the program, and now returns between events as a professional player consulting with the same infrastructure that shaped her. Alongside Bosch, Sandro Veen, another RNA-affiliated coach, handles some of the touring duties. The arrangement is fluid. Bosch travels for certain events, Veen covers others, but the training methodology stays consistent because it originates from the same system. That continuity is rare in women's tennis, where coaching changes happen every few months for some players. Now, to the actual work. Reports from early April indicate that Eala's training focus during this particular block centered on 3 areas. First, footwork and lateral coverage on the backhand side. This is her most exploitable pattern on clay. On hard courts, the ball arrives faster but lower, and her two-handed backhand, compact, well-timed, can redirect with minimal footwork adjustment. On clay, the ball kicks higher and arrives later, which means she needs an extra recovery step to reset her base after each shot. When opponents like Fernandez target that side relentlessly, she ends up reaching instead of planting, and reaching on clay produces weak slices that sit up begging to be punished. The fix isn't dramatic. It's positional. She needs to set up deeper in the court on clay than she does on hard courts, roughly 18 inches further behind the baseline, so the higher bounce reaches her at waist height rather than shoulder height. From that adjusted base, her two-handed backhand has space to generate its own pace rather than borrowing from the incoming ball. The training sessions reportedly hammer this positioning through repetition, hundreds of cross-court rallies where coaches feed balls specifically to her backhand at clay-appropriate heights and speeds, tracking whether she maintains that deeper base or creeps forward out of hard court habit. Second focus, the serve. Always the serve. This has been the defining technical conversation of Eala's career since she turned professional. In 2025, she routinely served below 90 miles per hour on first serves. For context, the WTA average sits around 105. She was giving opponents an extra fraction of a second on every service point, essentially volunteering to play a return game on her own serve. The 2026 numbers show improvement. She's hit serves at 105 miles per hour, occasionally clocking 175 kilometers per hour. The issue isn't that she can't generate pace. It's consistency. She can uncork a heavy serve 3 times a set. She can't sustain that level of ball speed over an entire match without her toss drifting or her trophy position collapsing under fatigue. On clay, serve speed matters differently. The surface absorbs pace. A 100-mile-per-hour serve on a hard court becomes effectively 90 on clay because of the friction. So what matters more is placement and spin variation. Eala's left-handed delivery gives her a natural advantage. Her slice serve swings wide to the deuce court in ways that right-handers can't replicate, pulling opponents off the court and opening up the +1 ball. The academy work reportedly focuses on the consistency of this pattern rather than raw speed. Can she hit her spot 7 out of 10 times instead of 4 out of 10? Can she hold her toss steady in her service motion through the second hour of a match when her legs start to tire? Third focus. What insiders describe as point construction patience. On hard courts, Eala's aggressive return game and left-handed angles allow her to end points quickly. She breaks opponents with regularity. Her return game's win percentage on hard courts sits around 41%, which is genuinely elite for someone outside the top 30. But on clay, that same aggression gets absorbed. The ball bounces higher, sits up longer, and opponents have more time to recover. Points that would end in 3 shots on a hard court extend to 8 or 9 on clay. And Eala, historically, hasn't had the tactical discipline to sustain those longer exchanges without going for too much too early. The training targets that pattern specifically. Structured points where she's instructed to hit 8 or more balls before attempting a winner. Building her tolerance for rally length. Teaching her body and mind that a 7-shot rally isn't a failure, it's set up. That the 12th ball in a rally can be the winner if the first 11 created the geometric opening. This is the kind of work that doesn't photograph well and won't make highlight reels, but it's the clay court literacy that separates tourists from residents on this surface. Here's what makes this particular training block different from earlier ones. Eala skipped the Catalonia Open, a WTA125 event running April 27th to May 3rd, specifically to get more court time in Mallorca. That's a calculated sacrifice. Tournament matches offer competitive reps that practice can't simulate. But the coaching team apparently decided that right now, she needs volume of technical repetition more than she needs another potential first-round exit on clay. The next event is Rome. It's a WTA 1000. 96 players. The draw will include Sabalenka, Swiatek, Gauff, Rybakina, Muchova, everyone. Getting an extra week of targeted training rather than playing a lower-tier event suggests a long-term bet. They're optimizing for the major rather than chasing ranking points at the margins. This decision echoes something Joan Bosch said in an interview last year. With all the room for improvement, it's normal to have that tendency to look beyond to see where we can go. He's coaching for trajectory, not for this week's results. The question is whether that patience will translate when Eala walks onto the Foro Italico center court and the memory of last year's 6-0, 6-1 against Kostyuk floods back. Because here's the honest assessment of where she stands. Her clay court game in April 2026 is better than it was in May 2025. The grab her win showed legitimate improvement in serve consistency. The Pavlyuchenkova win in Madrid showed she can control exchanges against experienced clay courters. But the Ostapenko collapse, the Fernandez dismantling, the Mertens rout, those show that the improvement hasn't hardened into reliability yet. She's in the middle of a process. The dangerous part. The Rafa Nadal Academy can give her optimal conditions. 45 courts. The man who coached Moya through multiple clay titles. A system designed by the greatest clay court player in history. Semi-indoor courts that let you control variables and stack thousands of repetitions without weather interruptions. A fitness center built for the specific physical demands of sliding and recovering on terra battue. But what the Academy cannot give her is competitive pressure. It cannot simulate Mertens reading her second serve at 4-all in the first set. It cannot replicate the specific anxiety of being on match point against Ostapenko and watching the ball sail along. That gap between practice and competition is where Eala's clay court development lives right now. She does the work in Mallorca. She understands the adjustments intellectually. Bosch confirms the technical changes are taking hold in training. And then the match starts, the surface slows everything down, and old patterns reassert themselves under pressure. Rome will tell us something specific. Not whether she's become a clay court player, that takes years, not weeks. But whether the Mallorca work between Madrid and Rome translates into even marginal improvement in the areas that keep breaking down. Can she hold her deeper baseline position for a full match? Can she sustain her serve placement for 2 hours? Can she resist the temptation to end points early and instead build through longer rallies? Last year in Rome, 0 games in the first set, 1 game in the second. Kostyuk annihilated her. If Eala walks onto those courts next week and wins 4 games in a loss, that's progress. If she wins a set, that's significant progress. And if she wins a match against whoever the draw presents, that's the training block justified. That's Joan Bosch's patience validated. That's the Catalonia Open sacrifice paying dividends. The Filipino tennis community, enormous and loud and passionately invested in every point she plays, will be watching for something definitive. A title run. A statement. The kind of dramatic breakthrough that happened in Miami last March, when she beat Swiatek and the tennis world collectively lost its mind. But that's not what this Rome trip is about. This is about the slower, less cinematic work of becoming competent on a surface that doesn't reward her natural gifts. Her return game, her greatest weapon, still functions on clay. Opponents still fear her ability to read serves and redirect with that left-handed angle. But you can't return if you can't hold. And holding requires serving. And serving requires consistency she's still building. The 6 days between Madrid and Rome, spent on those semi-indoor clay courts in Manacor with Joan Bosch feeding balls to her backhand and Sandro Veen monitoring her toss height, and the fitness team tracking her split-step timing, that's where the actual work lives. It's invisible. It's incremental. And in 5 days, we'll find out if any of it stuck. What I'll be watching for in Rome: her court positioning in the first 3 return games of any match. If she's standing a foot deeper than she did in Madrid, the Academy block worked on at least one dimension. Her first serve percentage in the second set, historically where it collapses as fatigue creeps in. And the length of her average rally compared to Madrid, where Mertens kept points short because Eala kept trying to shorten them first. Those aren't the metrics that make headlines. They won't trend on social media. But they're the metrics that tell you whether a training block at the Rafa Nadal Academy between tournaments actually accomplished anything. Whether the repetitions translated. Whether muscle memory formed in Mallorca survives contact with competitive reality in Rome. Eala turns 21 in 3 weeks. She's been training at that academy, on and off, since she was 13. 7 years of development inside a system built by the Nadal family. And the clay court piece, the final missing component in a game that already includes a world-class return, dangerous left-handed angles, and the competitive stubbornness to beat Grand Slam champions on hard courts, that piece is still under construction. The Italian Open isn't the exam. It's the next assignment. And she just spent the past week in Mallorca doing the homework.